Tonight, we're going to be talking about energy healing and what do all modalities have in common. So I am your facilitator. My name is Josette Diaz, and I'm a transformation specialist. I help women who lead in business and in life, and they're ready to step into their greatness. I'm also a Reiki master teacher, and I've been practicing since 2006. So we brought this topic to you because we wanted to give people a chance to understand what energy healing is and what does it all have in common, because there's so many different things out there. So anyone who's looked into receiving energy healing or who is called to become a practitioner might get a little overwhelmed with the different types of modalities that are out there. So for our conversation, we have expert panelists that are hand-chosen and are experts in their field. So each of these group of panelists are specific and understand the specific topics, and they're going to help us ignite really deep conversations. So we invite all of our guests who are here tonight to please participate. Go ahead and put your questions in the chat, and we will make sure that your questions get answered. So I'd like to first start off by introducing our lovely panelists here. And the first person I'm going to introduce to you is Jacqueline Ortiz. And Jacqueline is an energy healer and guide who has been in recovery for over 4 years. She learned why she turned to alcohol when she couldn't deal with her problems. She discovered who she was after struggling for so many years with addiction through energy healing. She learned she wasn't a victim, but a survivor through her inner work. She now helps others heal from their addictions so they can become the best versions of themselves. We also have Anne Irwin. And Jo is an emotional and energetic healer and manifestation coach. She is the creator of Empower You and Finding You programs, co-author in these books. The titles of the books are Empower You and Finding You. And she is the co-author of the series of books, A Journey to Riches, The Gift in Challenges, and a speaker trained in many modalities. She is a master practitioner of NLP and hypnosis. She is a results coach for personal and business and regression therapy. Jo has been in the health and nutrition, wellness, and spiritual environment for over 38 years. She also works with frequencies for deeper transformational healing. And Jo helps people who struggle with anxiety and overwhelm. Most have tried everything and feel exhausted and fed up with not getting the results they want. Through deep connection listening, she intuitively guides her clients to breakthroughs and their unconscious programming, these patterns and limiting beliefs, so that they can reprogram their brain for permanent change to attract the success they crave. Empowering you to live from a place of calm, love, and intent in attracting all your desires. Jo is most passionate about seeing people thrive, contributing, and achieving amazing things in the world. Now, last but not least, we have our Sophia Soul. And Sophia's passion is to create a movement of love, growth, and connection through our sacred community. Here we are. Which is a worldwide community dedicated to helping, supporting, and encouraging women and men to fulfill their dreams, desires, and purpose. They do this by providing a platform for like-minded people to share their passions, services, classes, courses, and events. Their mission is to touch lives everywhere. So welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Sophia. And so I'd like to just kind of give everyone, our audience, just a little bit of an understanding of what energy healing is in case anyone is wondering. So energy healing is the process of restoring balance and wellness in your energy field. And so that means that layer that sits around your body. And it's based on the interconnectedness of all life. So you might be familiar with hearing life force energy. That's the energy that flows around all of us. It flows through all of the planet, through plants and flowers and animals, etc. And it's more familiarly known as chi. So energy healing can be used to address a variety of issues, including physical pain, emotional stress or anxiety, and relationship problems, etc., all kinds of things. So that's just a few to mention. And just to give you a level of understanding of different modalities, that anyone who's done research is probably looking at chi-based healing, which really is about the vital energy that unites the body, mind, and spirit. And this is part of the traditional Chinese medicine. You hear the word chi a lot. There's also chakra-based methods, which chakra-based healing methods channel chi energy to release blockages or to clear stagnant energies in the body's energy system. Then there's Meridian-based methods. Meridian-based methods work with the energy meridians of the body. So that would be something you might relate to in acupuncture. And rather than the chakras, so they use meridians rather than the chakras. And the energy meridians are like rivers of energy that run through the body. That's why it's highly known for, like in acupuncture, EFT, etc. Then you have non-chi based energy healing modalities that don't focus on the meridians or the chakra system of the body directly, often less well known than their counterparts, such as chi-based, meridian-based, etc. They can be quite powerful in affecting change in their own right. So examples of those methods would be shamanic work, sound healing, our flower essences, like aromatherapy, angelic hearing, crystal healing, and so on. So I'd like to ask our experts if they can give examples of what do you find that these healing modalities tend to have in common, and why do you think there are so many? So I'd like to start with Sophia. You're the first person I see, so I'm going to start with you.
Thank you, Josette, and thank you. What do they all have in common? Well, it's all energy. It really is. And we come down to the fact that we are beings of energy. So it's really, for me, no matter what modality you're using, it's clearing the energy blockages, allowing the energy or the chi to flow, depending on what modality you use. And and yes, there is so many modalities, because I think we're all unique. We all navigate all towards different things, and we've also been around. There's so many different cultures, who have their own energy healing systems. So for me, and we'll talk about this later, sound and breath work really works for me, where for someone else it might be, the meridian systems and acupuncture and stuff and Reiki and things like that. So our bodies tune in to different modalities. That's the best way that I can explain it.
I love that you said that your body tunes into different modalities.
Yes. Yeah.
So that sounds like an energetic match. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. That's what I've experienced. I mean, I've had all different types of healings because I've got a body with a lot of issues, and I've had massage, and I've had Reiki, and I've had acupuncture, and just about everything that you could use. And it all helped. It definitely all helped. But it wasn't till I discovered sound healing that it was like my body woke up and it says, this is what I need.
Mm.
You know, where I know for other people, they get a lot of benefit from Reiki and massage and acupressure or acupuncture.
That's beautiful. Thank you. And that I'm assuming is what called you to be a giver
Yes.
of sound healing. Yes.
Yes. Well, I'm a little bit selfish in that way because every time I'm able to share sound, which is one of my passions, I also receive it.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, Sophia. Joe, can I ask you the same question? So the question is, if you'd like me to repeat it.
Yes.
It's been a moment. So the question is, if you can give me an example of what the energy modalities in your mind have in common, and why do you think there's so many?
Yes, I totally agree with what Sophia was just saying, and that we all vibrate at everything is energy, and everything physically in the world is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of energy, and energy is made up of consciousness. So we're always vibrating at a certain energy, and I feel like often we do, our bodies tell us what we need. But I think the common denominator between all of these modalities is that each practitioner has an intention behind it. So their intent to focus on what the person needs for healing, and where the mind goes, as we know, energy flows. So they're trained to specifically focus in these different areas and the modalities that they use to transfer the energy over for the healing to happen. And I think my first, and maybe this is extending too far, but I remember my very first experience of healing was actually a sound healing, but in a different format to what Sophia is doing, and that was in an ashram, chanting with hundreds of people. And it was just such a profound experience that I'd never felt before. And I think that's where my interest became, along the lines of healing energetically, and opened up the channels. It's almost like it opened up different channels in my body, and I was, euphoric, if that makes sense. So I guess it doesn't really matter what modality you use, they all have the same intention, and that is to heal. At an energetic level. Yeah.
So I'd like to ask each of you, as we go through this, what is the modality that spoke to you, and what do you practice?
Well, you asking me now?
Yes, I'm asking you now.
Yeah. But at the moment, I've gravitated more to frequency healing. That is my modality I use. But I always work with, intuitively, what for me personally is called to do, as Sophia mentioned. I've done so many things and experienced so many things over the years, and I guess it's built the platforms for me to step into other things that my body personally needs, and that I can use to help other people as well. So yeah, frequency healing is my preference now. However, if I'm called to go have a massage or a Reiki or something else to support that, I definitely don't hesitate. Sometimes we need touch. Yeah, sometimes we need to be held. And with all of the stuff that the frequencies can work with, it can actually, put you in a place where you do need to go get other modalities or other healing methods to support that. So as in touch and sound, and to move through what's coming up for you. So yeah, there's no preference. I love them all. I've tried most of them. But yeah, I work with frequency, and then I would recommend add-ons from there for my client.
That's a great suggestion. And I really love that you touched on intention, because it's so important that the intention is the driver, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Jacqueline, can I ask you the same question?
Absolutely. I do agree with both ladies in the sense that the healing is the healing at the end of the day, because that is the commonality, and that's what we're all here for. It's basically the clearing of old stagnant energy that's trapped in our fields, whether it's our aura or chakras or any of our meridians themselves. And whether or not we choose to do Reiki versus tuning therapy or sound healing, it really is subjective to the individual to choose what they want to do. But sometimes they kind of tend to gravitate towards something specific. For me personally, what I love for myself that I do divine healing, which is fantastic for me. I call it spiritual therapy. It's kind of like you lay down the person on the chair or table, and I do this through Zoom, and I kind of go through the traumas and issues that they're going through in their life to kind of release them, because some of these things are so deeply rooted. It's like peeling layers of an onion, and you need to go. It's not just a one day kind of process. You need to go through. That's why several people go back to to get Reiki, several Reiki sessions throughout the time, because you're just constantly releasing and releasing. And once you do, you feel lighter and more empowered. And that's kind of how I fell into it. I didn't know much about energy healing myself. I was in recovery for 2 years. And then I was like, hey, what's going on? I feel like, all right, fine, I stopped drinking. So why am I still not happy? And not realizing that I still had built up of all the trauma and the issues that I had when I was a child and, an adolescent and so on and so forth, that I needed to release. And when I finally did, it was the most unbelievable experience of my life. But it took me about 2 years to kind of get into that and really say, hey, and realize, oh my God, if I can do this for me, I can't imagine and what I can do to help other people to do the same thing. So it's all about your truth, intention, what we do want to do to try to help other people. And I'm so happy to be part of a community that we're all just doing that to help other people, selflessly just caring about others, because people really don't know. I mean, they don't understand energy healing. They're even afraid of it. Sometimes they turn their backs and say, well, I don't know about that, or it sounds too hokey or something, because at the same time, the religion kind of tells us not to. Kind of when you introduce that into the world in the scheme of things, it makes it a little difficult. But for me, I mean, I grew up a very religious household and this and that. And although my family understands what I'm doing, they're not really, with it. But it's like, it saved my life. And I have to say that honestly, because I don't know where else I would have been. I might have relapsed, because I'm starting to think that a lot of people who are sober for so many years are because they never dealt with the things from the past. I mean, you can go to therapy and do that, and it can take a process. And I'm not saying that energy healing is a shortcut in any sense of the word or anything like that, but it's a big process where it actually does release things significantly from your whole system and breaks and tears down those walls that we've built up that caused us to drink, whatever addiction we have, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever it might be, to let us see who really are. And I didn't know who I was until when I finally started to heal. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not the person I thought I was. And we kind of tend to think that we are the mistakes we've made. We think those are who we are. And energy healing is so powerful and so much more than I can even say. And it has just helped and changed a lot of lives. So
I think you really hit it on the head when you spoke of peeling back the onion. Right?
Yeah.
It's like one layer and then practice that, another layer, practice that. And I think so often people think that you go and you go get healed. So, through whatever chosen method you feel called to, and it's a one-off, and it's not, it's a journey. So I love that you mentioned that, and that you really focused in on peeling back each layer. That's beautiful. Yes. My next question for all of you is, what do you say to those that are not sure whether energy healing is safe? Can I go to you, Sophia?
Yes, thank you. Well, I just use myself as an example. You know, a lot of people who don't think energy healing is safe may not really understand or accept that we are just beings of energy. All right. But when I bring in mind, like I used to be on heavy duty narcotics, I've had 30 operations. I was self-injecting pethidine, plus taking all sorts of other stuff. And now I don't use anything. And I'm a lot more healthier, and I'm not in any pain unless I overdo it like other people. So like for me, if energy healing, I would actually say that energy healing is a lot safer than your medicines and your healing methods of today, you know, like the allopathic practices, only because, because I'm so much more healthier and clearer, that I'm not here to say that there isn't a space for surgery and for prescribed medications. But I also know that there is so much out there that isn't necessary, which actually makes us even more sicker in some places. And I mean, if I can just use this as just a personal example, I mean, my mother is totally opposite from me, even though we have the same condition, and I love her dearly. But she takes 13 tablets for breakfast. And a lot of that medication is overcoming the symptoms of the other medication. So I kind of use that as an example. I'm pretty a practical person, you know. This is why I see that it's so safe, is that I don't take any medication.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a domino effect, right?
It can. It's a huge thing. And like I said, it's a challenge when we live in such a society today where, you know, pharmaceutical drugs are so pushed and so promoted. Mm-hmm. But what people don't realize is the side effects that this is happening. I became very toxic. Like, not only was I in pain because of the body, but I was in pain from all the drugs that I was taking. And it wasn't until I, you know, was able to totally detox from those drugs that a lot of my pain went away.
So when you talk about how your pain went away, what do you receive from this? I'm just going to say sound healing, if that's okay, because that's what resonated.
Sound healing and breath work, yeah.
Yes. So those were methods that you were able to tap into that release the pain?
Yes.
Because I'm thinking of people who might think, oh, well, if I was on medication, then if I'm doing something natural, how does that actually take the pain away? So that's a process of the body releasing through the sound healing.
Yes. And I mean, if exactly what Jacqueline and Joe was speaking about, it's the frequency and it's the energy healings. Like sometimes when I do breath work, right, your body releases the pain, and also the sound healing. You can actually experience intense pain during a sound healing because your body is releasing the blockage that is causing the pain. Right? But then there are other times when I hurt myself, which I do tend to do frequently, just because of the body that I have. And rather than taking a prescription medicine that just covers up, just puts a Band-Aid on it, is I will breathe into that pain and I will energetically release whatever's there that's causing the pain. And that could be also like exactly what Joe was talking about, chanting. Chanting is an incredible pain relief.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing things. I've done chanting before. When I've been in a lot of pain, I would just sit there and chant. And your mind, instead of focusing on the pain, your mind is focusing on what you're chanting on. And the energy is releasing everything that's blockages. Because for me, pain is actually caused by blockages in the energy system, in our, in the meridians, in whatever you want it is. When we've got a blockage, we get pain. You release the energy, you release the blockage, and the pain will release as well.
That's great. Yes, thank you, Sophia. I love that explanation. So I think it's hard for someone to visualize what does that mean.
Yeah.
So I think that was a great explanation. Thank you. And before I move on, I'd like to just mention that we do have some of our guests that are watching. And please, if you have any questions, put that in the chat, and then I will make sure that your questions get answered. So we'd love to hear from you. Please join the conversation. So I'd like to move on and ask you, Joe, what kind of explanation can you offer people who might be concerned or unsure whether or not energy healing is something safe for them to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% what Sophia was just saying about using herself, but also using other people as examples. Because that's the evidence, right? This is what happened to her. This is what happened to me. This is what happened to my family. And, and sharing those stories of healing with people who are a bit unsure. Gosh, that so resonated with me, Sophia, because I watched my mother go down that path of the medication and the drugs, and the reason why I went on this journey for myself is because I declared when she died in the back of an ambulance at 61, which is what I am now. So I've got there. I'd do anything in my power to help people not go down that path, but any other daughter have to experience what I saw from her just taking all these medications that were for the side effects of whatever was going on. So that just sort of hit that for me. That was my reasoning, and my children grew up in the environment, and my 4 children grew up in an environment of natural healing rather than medicine. So I would also say that would I offer put my children in a situation where I felt it was harmful for them in healing whatever it was. I'm sure if they got hurt, they would go to a doctor and get stitches or have whatever. But, as far as ailments and asthma and things that were going on for them, I would first seek alternatives and work with the energy system in the body, acupuncture, massage, chiropractic, all the stuff. And these are more modalities. These are more like natural sources of healing. But I also see them as energy healing as well, because it's moving what Sophia was talking about, the stuck, energy stuck in their bodies that needs to be released. So, I would definitely, and my children were out, like any mother, they're our world. So we wouldn't put them in a situation, but definitely just sharing other people's experiences. And there's so many amazing stories out there of people who have healed. You look at Brandon Bays and Louise L. Hay and what they did with the power of their mind and healing themselves. But not everybody's going to be ready. And I was that quote about when the teacher appears, then
when the student's ready. Yeah.
That's the one. The student's ready, the teacher will appear, and maybe they need to go down. Maybe it's their journey or path to go down all the other stuff before they, find what resonates with them. But as long as we can share our stories is the most important thing, because then at least you're getting your message out to the world and how it can support them. And we feel better. It's better than not saying nothing, right? And going, I want to help this person, but how do I share it? Well, share it through your own story, your own experience, or other people's experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And I like that you were talking about how you chiropractors and acupuncturists, even though we might not initially think it's energy healing, it is, because it is part of, well, especially acupuncture and even chiropractic work is the same. I felt like there was something else I was going to say about that, but it went right out of my mind. So
Yeah,
thank
because
you.
it's shifting things in our
Yeah.
bodies that are stuck and causing the pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're all very important, and we see them as mainstream now, which is back then, like 38 years ago, it was like, oh, you know, I wouldn't do that, but it's, you know, acupuncturists particularly and things like that. But it's now mainstream for a lot of people, which is fantastic, because that's a great start.
Yeah. And I think what you were saying about releasing pain, et cetera, that is a choice in, you have to be in harmony with those decisions, right? In order for some of that to actually be effective for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Otherwise, and this is really important, actually, what you're saying, Jacqueline, because if we don't believe, then it's not going to work. Everything starts in here. We have to believe in what we are receiving and open to receiving, right? What we are given and wanting to heal, like really wanting to heal. And sometimes we have to work with our beliefs first before we even can enter into that realm. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jo.
You're welcome.
I just would like to let everyone know we do have a comment here from Allison Nash. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Allison. She's saying that I've been using frequency healing with Healy, a bioresonance device, after battling pneumonia. So that right there can tell you a lot about, like, the frequency of the energy is helping her to heal from battling pneumonia. So thank you so much, Allison, for the comment. And Jacqueline, I'd like to ask you the same thing around what would you say to someone who might be concerned that energy healing isn't safe?
Well, I always use myself as an example. I mean, I'm very open. I'm an open book. I'm very honest about the things that I've experienced, the things that I've done, the mistakes I've made in my life, because people will get defensive automatically if you start to tell them about them, because you really can't do that. You really have to kind of be open about you so that they can relate to you and they can see, hey, this girl might have something to say that's important, that are, you know, relatable. And once they finally start to see where I'm coming from, I mean, I show pictures, like I'm just like all open about that, because I have to be realistic. I know where I was, I know where I'm no longer. And I want people to have that opportunity to change themselves. I mean, it's always about will, whether or not they want to change or not, but they have to be ready to do it. And I'm very honest about it, especially with people with addictions. And like, if you're not ready, if you're doing it for your mother, your girlfriend, whomever you're doing it for, it's not going to work. You have to do it for you. And that's the truth. You have to want to do it for you, for it to actually work the way that you're hoping, or the way that it needs to work for you. You have to be in that place. Yeah. So yes, I totally agree. Your experiences for yourself are the most genuine and authentic thing you can offer someone. And then you can share stories about other people that have recovered and are happier with their own lives. But always getting them in the hot seat is kind of like you got to be very careful and very gentle with a lot of people too, because they're very sensitive and they come from all walks of life in general. That's the one thing that I realized. Addiction has no prejudice. It does not matter where you come from, poor, rich, the nationality, it does not matter. And for me, it hits home with me. So I try to be as very kind and very attentive and very forthcoming with people that I work with, because they need that. If they're embarrassed as it is just being there, feeling like, you know, everyone's looking at them. And I've been there, so I know that. So that's how I look at it. Like, it's just genuine and sharing you to kind of open that door for them to see, okay. And then maybe they'll walk through it. And if they don't, then they weren't ready. And it's maybe another time. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. I mean, what a generous gift that you give to others.
thank you.
Beautiful. We have a comment from Kim Tennant, who is saying that she relates to what Joe was saying earlier, and that her children are now adults and still ask to use the pendulum to balance their chakras because they could see the results from a young age. And how exciting is that to raise your children in modalities that they don't have to take medications and aren't relying on pharmaceutical, medications in order to, heal, that there are other ways, and it all has its own place, right? So the other thing I would like to ask each of our experts here is, what does it feel like to receive the energy healing in each of your specific modalities that you practice? So, Sophia, I'm back around to you.
The one word that comes up to me generally is bliss. Right. But that's just, again, from my experience. But also in that bliss, it can be pain. It can be emotional because you're releasing. I've had some sound healings and some breath work where I've been in intense pain. But afterwards, it's like you don't know what you've let go, but you've let go of a hell of a lot of stuff. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you do know, you get visions or whatever. It depends on the person of what you let go. But it's just like, even if you don't have an intense experience, for me, sound healing, and I know for others, sound healing is very relaxing. The worst you could come off is having a nice sleep, which can actually happen. The body will go to sleep and still absorb the sound. And it allows you to, it's when we're sleeping, you're relaxing, and it's there. That release things.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you. I think that what I heard someone say, now I know that crystal bowls are different than a gong, but I hear that a gong is like the sound of the universe.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. And you feel, whether it's crystal bowls or a gong or a drum having a drum massage, you actually feel like you're cocooned in the energy of the sound. And it's just your body, you can feel that energy flowing through you.
Yeah.
You literally, like any frequency, you just feel it, and it's just flowing, and it's just releasing and relaxing, releasing and relaxing.
That's great. Thank you. Joe, can you share with us your frequency healing?
Absolutely. But where I went firstly was when I was doing some regression work and working on an inner sourcing of traumas and wounds and things like that. I remember experiencing, like, sometimes you can feel awfully drained, exhausted. And that's the energy moving, shifting through you. And then after that, I feel this sense of open, clear, and calmness. And that was really powerful for me in part of my healing, my traumas and journey. But now working with frequencies similar, you can actually stir things up. All right. So, people need to be aware that sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, but we work with that and we support where they're at through that process, and often on a daily basis. Okay, so because I can work remotely and send what they need at the time. But at the end of that, or throughout that, there's this massive sense of lightness and calmness and opening, and just like a new way of looking at the world. It's almost like you wake up and in a different body. So or wake up on Christmas Day and you're like, in awe of what the world what you can see now. Okay, clarity, clear, lightness, and also evoke, more of the good feelings rather than the ones that, you know, you were processing. So all modalities, I believe you need to actually go through something for it to clear. So, and it doesn't have to be, you know, traumatic, but it just be aware that it's part of the process for the healing to happen, and working with someone that can support you in that, you know, on a very intimate level is so important sometimes. So finding the right practitioner that is going to, you resonate with, that is going to give you 100% of their energy to talk and walk you through the process. But yeah, definitely, you can feel tingling. A lot of people report tingling in their hands and feet. Like my girlfriend was visiting on the weekend. She's been suffering a lot of back pain for many, many years. So while she was with me, in the evening, I ran some frequencies for her back pain, and she also suffered a lot of migraines, and she was starting to feel it. But after the process, it all cleared. And I think that's the beauty of healing. It's not forever. It's, you know, once you, well, I guess healing is always forever, but the process of, you know, using the actual modality is only temporarily till you move through that uncomfortableness. And she woke up for the first time in months that morning without pain in her back. So it's pretty amazing what can happen, to be honest. Pretty amazing. I got hundreds of stories. I could go on forever, but yeah.
Well, and I love that you mentioned that you don't have to necessarily go through a trauma, and pain is relative, trauma is relative, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has their own level of their perspective of how that affected them. Mm. So it doesn't always have to be labeled as something large. And I think that's what you were speaking to, which yes, I just love.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Jo.
You're welcome.
And Jacqueline, you're up.
Okay. Well, divine healing is what I love doing. I do it on others as well as myself. And my gosh, and the wonderful thing about the modality that I use is that I'm also getting a healing at the same time that I'm giving a healing. And I'm sure Reiki and all the other ones are the same way. But what I feel every single time I do it is I literally feel a shift in the sense where I feel like energy's flushing out of my system, like from my feet all the way to my head. My arms do tingle. I start to yawn. I get a little emotional, like I'll start to cry a little bit, and then it fades away. But sometimes I'll feel it strongest in certain areas, certain chakra points in my body, where like if I have to deal with like rooted issues with family, I'll feel it more in my root chakra. I'll just feel like bubbles. Like I'm very sensitive in general, so I feel all these things coming up out of me. And then sometimes it takes anywhere from 3 to 2 weeks, depending on how deeply rooted that emotion was, for me to start to feel normal and lighter. It's like you literally feel lighter. It's the strangest thing. You don't feel more weighed down until you start releasing this energy. You start to feel like, wow, like you feel happy, you feel more in tune, you feel more balanced. And that's the amazing part. That's why I love energy healing so much, because it really does. It's like magic. It literally is divine magic. And I just can't say enough of it. And I could say a million stories too, Jo, just like you, about like all that. So I'm just going to stop there. But that's how I feel about it.
That's really a great description. I like that you were able to like give the description of how your body felt when you received it, and walking away with the sense of well-being.
Yes, it's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah,
and I love seeing.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And I just love seeing the faces of my clients that are like in such distress, and their face relaxes and they're in shock, and they're like, oh my gosh, this really does work. And it's like, because they're so resistant to it. But I'm honestly, I believe as well that you don't necessarily have to believe in it for it to work. It's just going to do its magic on you no matter what. And that's the one thing that's beautiful about energy healing. It's just, it does this thing and that's it. And then whether you choose to come back, it's up to the individual. It's a choice.
Yeah. And that's true, whether it's recognized or not.
It's true.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So my final and last question is what gift have you received or developed out of the modality that you currently practice? So, Sophia, I'd like to ask you that question.
Healing, like totally transformation. And this is true my life on a both physical level. So I've received a new life. On a physical, on an emotional, on a spiritual level. Before I went on the healing path, I couldn't walk 100 meters. You know, I was running, I had to get around on a mobility scooter for a lot of things, and wearing a neck brace because my head was too heavy for my neck because it was compressing with all the arthritis. For me, I've received my life.
Same.
You know, no more surgery, no more drugs, no more, and such clarity. Because when you take so many prescription medications, you know, you're constantly in a fog. That's what I experienced, you know, and yeah, I'm having trouble finding words because it's true. And the gift, not just for me, but the absolute honor of being able to share this with the world, to help others, that, you know, there are other ways. Whatever the modality is, there are other ways. You know, all our Indigenous cultures, they don't go down the road and get a pill or inject themselves with, in my case, what I said, with pethidine. They use their traditional methods, their voice, their herbs, which is a traditional method, but they use, you know, they use sound, they use their voice, they use traditional methods, all the different cultures, the energy things. So yeah, I mean, I'm like, I could be here forever, but overall, the gift that I've received is my life.
So profound.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Joe, what gift would you say you developed or received in your
Firstly,
modality?
she's choked me up. It's so beautiful, Sophia. I just love that you've had so much profound healing. For me, it's been about optimum health, you know, ultimate health, and having, you know, not having had a medication in 38 years. I mean, I think that's very rare. You know, I very rarely have I had a Panadol, or what do you call it, paracetamol, or because I have something at my fingertips that I can actually use if I do get an ailment. And since I've been working with the frequencies, a lot of things have manifested through my body, which I've been able to, you know, quickly heal. So I guess it's a medical device a healthy medical device at my fingertips to support me and my grandchildren and my children and anybody, I mean, that tells me that they've got something, you know, happening. I can say, well, I've got this. Would you like me to send you some healing? So it's totally changed my life and many, 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 many others around me. So having something at my fingertips that I can use at any given moment or send to somebody at any given moment is really, for me, everything, away from the mainstream, you know, pharmaceuticals, and save a lot of money too, I guess, when we're not going down that path. But yeah, so I think that's, for me, just in a nutshell, to be able to heal myself first and then share that with the world. Yeah.
And what a gift of wellness,
Mm.
right? That you get to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you, Joe. Jacqueline, what would you say is the gift that you received?
Oh my gosh. Well, so I didn't know who I was before this. I didn't know. I kind of was one of those people that went with the flow, followed the crowd, was more of a follower than a leader. That's how I was, because I didn't have any sense of self at all. And when I finally got sober and I discovered energy healing and I started to clear all this stuff and all this junk away from my system, I finally said, oh my gosh, I discovered who I was. I had no idea. And I know I'm not the only one out there that just goes with the flow and just follows the crowd and does that. And I got my life. I'm like, and this is what I want to do. And I'm very passionate about it. And like, I just looking at people's faces when they finally see, hey, you know, there's hope. There's so many people that have no hope. And I just wanted to give that back to them because I know what that feels like. Awful. Sorry if I get a little bit emotional. It's just, it really touches me to actually want to help somebody change their life. But just doing, I mean, energy healing's wonderful and it's great and everything at the end of the day. And you can do so much to help somebody. But it's their life. And then from that point on, it's up to them what they do next. So whether they continue that path is their choice. You can only be the helper, the guide for the moment, and then just let them go and do what they do. So whether they choose to continue on that path, great. Whether or not, but it's, you did your part. So that's how I look at it. And for me, I've just gotten so many benefits out of it, and I'm so grateful for it. I mean, my dad passed away from COVID in 2020, and I feel like he's been around me to help me and guide me and tell me, you know, this is what you need to do. You need to help. You have the magic in you to do it. We all do. We just are so lost in the scheme of the world and everything that's going on. We don't pay attention to what we really need for ourselves. We don't take that time. And that's why a lot of people fall into the rut of addiction or other things that are happening in their life. But for me, I got my life. Just like, you know, Sophia and Joe, I've gotten these things as well, like you guys, but for me, I really didn't know who I was. I felt like a puppet, you know, kind of like I did everything everyone said to me. I didn't want anybody to be mad at me, that kind of thing. But now I'm a completely different person and I'm so grateful for it. And we all have to go through this journey. We all have to learn. We all have to learn the lessons that life gives us, whether we choose to take the lesson and make it better for ourselves or not, is up to us. Everything we do is up to us. So that's what I got from it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would like to share or thank all of you for being here, and to our guests that are here. I mean, what a wonderful panel of experts that we have. I thank you for sharing your vulnerability. I thank you for sharing and letting us in on how energy healing profoundly affected and changed your life. So I appreciate you all being here. And thank you for all of our guests for coming. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Sophia in a moment here. So I just wanted to thank everyone. It was a great conversation tonight.
And thank you, Josette, seriously, for being such a wonderful facilitator. Truly, this has been it's been an amazing experience to be on this panel. So I'd just like to thank you, and also to thank Joe and Jacqueline. Now, before we do leave, can I ask Joe, do you have anything that you would like to share with everyone who's watching us? And we do have quite a few people watching us.
Unmute. Okay, yeah, just just be brave, be bold, be beautiful, and step into, your power. Exactly what Jacqueline was saying. I love that. She found herself. I mean, what a gift. How is it to finally find yourself and not be a puppet? That is amazing. I just absolutely resonated with that. So go on that journey of self-discovery and step into the person that you want to become. Yeah. And this is a way that you can do that. Just explore, what's available for you other than, the other alternatives that clearly are band-aids. And if you want to join my Facebook group, I have lots of tips and resources there for you. It's conquering your overwhelm and anxiety and all the stuff. So please feel free, because I just want to support as many people as I can before I leave the planet, with healing and Healy as well. The lady you mentioned, Healy, I'm running my frequencies right now. So thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been a beautiful conversation. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you. And we have been putting all your links in the comments for everyone who's watching. Do get in touch with Jo, and definitely join her Facebook group. Thank you. And Jacqueline, what about you? Do you have any gifts or any programs that you would like to share with the audience, or any last words?
I just want to say, please don't give up hope. Really don't give up, because there is always help out there. It's just, you have to just give yourself a chance. You're worth it. And you can also visit my website. It's theaddictinme.com, www.theaddictinme.com. I'm also going to offer anyone on this site, I have a coupon code that I can include in, if everyone's interested in getting divine healing. I also do Reiki and tuning and other modalities on my website if you'd like to do that. Also, I have a Facebook group as well, The Addict in Me. That's my Facebook group. If you'd like to join, I'm always posting advice and anything to try to uplift people, because we all need a little that. Sometimes we have crummy days, and sometimes it's just a matter of looking at a post or something that can really change that day for us. Just little things like that. And it's very, very important that we're very mindful of ourselves and take care of ourselves, because if we're not good, then we can't be good for anybody else. And that's a reality. And I'm very grateful to be part of this panel. Thank you so much. I love you, ladies. You're all beautiful. I have so much respect for everything you're all doing to try to help the world be a better place. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And Josette, what about your beautiful self? Tell us a little bit about you, and also your two tribes that you that we are honored that you're sharing with our community.
So I specialize in working with women specifically, and I teach self-mastery through a system of self-mastery that I've created called Seasons of the Soul. That's in my business Guidance to Wellness. And I am the tribe host of the Path to Self-Esteem. And in this tribe, we look at where you sit in your chakras, in your belief systems. So we go through that process of looking at each chakra and what you believe there. And we compare it to your values to see if there's a match and where's the mismatch. And if there's a mismatch, then where's the block? So talk about peeling back the layer of onion, that's what we do. And so we go through that process in order to understand ourselves, because that self-awareness will bring you to a space of where your self-esteem raises, your self-worth raises, your self-confidence raises, all naturally, just by discovery. So that's what the Path to Self-Esteem is about. And I'm a co-host in the Magical Playground, which is for women in business or career. And it's about having fun so that you open up your creativity, and that allows for more expansion in your business, in your life, and experiencing life in joy, creating from a space of fun. And so that is what the Magical Playground is all about. And we have all kinds of really cool things that we're going to be doing in that tribe to spark fun, to make it creative. We just had a conversation about the childhood game that you used to play. It's called Chatterbox, I believe, in Australia, but in the United States, we called it Cootie Catchers. And so I used to love that when I was a kid, because it was like the prelude to an 8-ball. So we're just planning on having a lot of fun to keep your creative juices flowing and keep you expanding and raising your frequencies. So that's what that tribe is all about. And thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. And I'm so looking forward to the magical playground because it starts in just 2 days' time. Do click on the links in the comments when you're watching this video, either live or on the replay. And I'd just like to do a big shout out to our beautiful VAs, Angel and Wilma, who have been helping us with put all your wonderful links and in the comments for all these beautiful women who have given up their time to share their experiences of energy healing. So thank you. And before we go, come and join us for our sacred community. I have the honor of co-creating this whole community where we're putting on over 30 panels in the next 3 months. And I've got no idea what's coming up next. Usually I do, because usually I'm sitting in the background, but this time I know there's a panel coming up in a couple of days. The 5D relationship. 5D romantic relationships is our next panel. But do come and join us. You can join us now just for $1 Australian. And for that $1 Australian, you get 3 weeks of coming to try the path of self-esteem with Josette, the magical playground. We have human design. We have oracle card. We have astrology. We have tarot card reading. We have all sorts of tribes, and including a couple of tribes that I run, if I can give a shout out for that, because one is the Sound is My Medicine tribe, and the other is Raising Our Vibration, which is what we've been talking about now, is just when we raise our vibration, that automatically takes care of, I believe, of any issues, so we don't have to have any healing. We're constantly on a higher vibration. But come and join us for $1 for 3 weeks. Then after that, it's just $15 Australian a month. All the links are in the comments. And I know I've said it, thank you to Josette. Thank you to everyone who is joining us today. It has been an honor to share this panel with you all.